Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, in today's video, talking about Guilty Gear Strive, we're talking about one very specific character, and that is Sol Badguy. You see, Sol Badguy, even in this early stage of the game's life, has had a little bit of a reputation built for him, in that he's incredibly powerful. In my estimation, in my opinion, I think he's the single best character in the game, and nobody comes close. And there's a lot of Sol players out there, and honestly, if you're fighting a Sol player that even knows a little bit of what's going on, it can be hard to just hang on. It can be hard to just survive. And that's what this video is about, to help you survive. Now, note, it's to help you survive, not to help you beat them, because beating them, hey, that's on you, and it's going to be an uphill battle for a lot of characters. But I want to show you a lot of common things about the character that you might not know, and with this knowledge now, it'll be a little bit easier to handle fighting Sol Badguy. Now, one of the biggest things to worry about, and this is probably the one that trips up a lot of beginner players the most, is Sol's standing slash attack. This guy here. This move is, to put it gently, ignorant. It is 10 frame startup, which for the range, which is very deceptively long, is very good. And the big thing is this. This is what we call plus on block. So if you were to block it, he will still be able to move before you can move. He will recover first. So this is a 10 frame move, and it's +2 on block, meaning if you were to keep on spamming it, basically the next move is 8 frames. And one of the biggest things is it combos into itself on counter hit as well, and it can also get a pretty decent combo on counter hit. Like, you can just do whatever you want. That's the most basic example, right? So he can kind of just keep doing it, and it can be a little hard to deal with. Now, one of the things is, since it is +2 and it has effectively 8 frames to start up to the next move, for a lot of characters, you can actually beat it out with your stand jab if he goes for another one, right? The thing is, the timing can be a little rough. If you're anything less than perfect timing and like anything less than you just expecting it, you can get blown up and then just train keeps going, right? But everyone has this move, forward and punch. And this move here, although the animation is different for every character, they all universally have upper body invincibility. So effectively from the waist up, you cannot be hit. And this is one of the best ways to deal with this move here. Just deal with standing slash spam. Because even if you are a little slow, unlike say the stand jab, you can use that upper body invincibility to just go through the move. So if you know the enemy is going to do it, even if they have all these plus frames and all that, and even if your reaction is just a smidge or slower than, the average, you can still use forward and punch to use that upper body invincibility to get past the spam of this move. Now, this is hardly like his only options, right? He can also just toe tap you and go for forward slash afterwards. And, if you try to do your move with upper body invincibility, well, it definitely doesn't have lower body invincibility. So he can definitely tap you out of that, right? But for a lot of Sol players, just mashing, standing slash is what they do. It's what they're all about, right? And they're just trying to catch you in the counter hit. And at which point, well, then you can use this, at least the forward and punch, to get around that. There is other layers, but hey, that's why it's one of the best moves in the game, right? That's just how it is. But on a very basic level, the person who just smashes this over and over and over, this is one layer, one option you have to deal with it. It's definitely one of the best moves in the game, and spoiler, he has a lot of the best moves in the game, because, he has stand kick, which is the fastest non-throw in the game. It's 3 frame startup. Most other people's fast moves are like 5 or 6 frames. It has far slash, which is just absolutely just insane. This forward slash here covers so much space, so safe, all that kind of stuff. But this is a building block you can use to get around one layer of his dumb offense. Sol is one of the very few characters in the game that have a meterless invincible reversal, an uppercut style move. Not even many people have reversals in this game, and a lot of them that do, it takes at least 50% of your meter, right? He has it meterless, he can do it whenever he wants, and it's full invincible, and it's all sorts of attacks, right? So this can be paralyzing to people, because if they start spamming enough, you don't feel safe at all, even when it's quote-unquote your advantage. Like, you'll have them knocked down, but then you'll just stop hitting buttons, or you'll hit buttons too much, because then all of a sudden, they'll get ballsy and throw out so many of these, and when you finally start blocking, they'll just do something like wake up and throw you, right? And that can be hard to deal with. But there is one trick about this and some of the other meterless reversals in the game is, unlike other meterless reversals like, say, Street Fighter or something, that uppercut is full invincible. This is only strike invincible. So only against attacks, but not throws. So if you're up against a Sol here who just keeps spamming over and over and over, and you're just not sure if he's going to wake up with an uppercut or not, then you have this option as simply, you can throw him out of it, as you can see right there. So this is multi-layered because obviously throwing them on their wake up is another option you have to pressure them, right? And you can abuse the fact that this thing just doesn't have any invincibility against the throw. So now all of a sudden you can feel much more confident in your pressure, because when you're going for like strikes or for throws on your wake up, you at the very least know throw will beat them being passive, and it will also beat them mashing uppercut. So you don't need to wait for the block and punish. Although, don't get me wrong, you still want to do that every now and then, right? You can just take the initiative and just keep the attack going without any fear of it, because if you expect it, then you can just chuck them out of there. And all of a sudden, that big old fearsome uppercut, you can definitely take him to task and get a lot of damage in for him attempting to do it over and over and over. Now, another move I see some newer players struggling with is the Night Raid Vortex. This move right here where he kind of slides underneath the ground. The big, really good thing about the move is it completely goes under projectiles, and more to the point, it goes under, well, lots of things, honestly, like a lot more than just fireballs. It can go under a lot of normals, all that kind of stuff too. The thing to know is this move is incredibly unsafe on block. I see a lot of newer players just not punishing this move, and they're waiting for Sol to attack again. Just keep in mind, when you block this move, it's not only your turn, you have a guaranteed punish situation. This is the same as like you blocking an uppercut or something, right? If you block it, you can do whatever combo you can dream of, so don't let that limit you. It's a scary move. It can go around a lot of your stuff, right? But if you are lucky enough to block it, just keep in mind, you can do a bunch of stuff to him and you can punish him for it. So just don't forget that. Now, another very scary move to talk about is Fafnir. So this move is very advantage on block. It does a lot of chip damage. It cranks up the risk gauge. You can't even yellow Roman cancel out of it, because unlike other moves, if the move has a guard break built into it, you cannot yellow Roman cancel out of it, so we can't even push them away, right? But the move is not infallible, so a couple things to note about it. One, it's a little on the slower side, right? So yeah, he'll just rush in and beat your head in with the punch, but a lot of attacks, even longer range attacks, like Nagoriyuki Stand Slash is by no means a fast attack, right? But I can see him start the move and I can just poke him on reaction, right? The big scary thing about this move is when you're passive. That's when this move will run all over you. So don't be passive. If you're a character, especially with any kind of longer range pokes, don't be afraid to toss him out, because the range he wants to Fafnir you at is usually the exact range your pokes will stuff it. And also, and this is pretty important, you can throw him out of it on reaction. So before he actually hits you with the fist, there's nothing protecting him, right? So you can just use your throw attack. Your throw attack, and this is universal across the board, your throw is your single fastest attack in the game. Comes in at 2 frames, right? So in 2 frames, as long as you see it, although, it's got to be in range of the throw, right? But as long as you see it coming, just challenge that with the throw, and you'll win every single time. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a very, very scary move, right? But if you see it happening, don't be afraid to hit throw. Like, the second you see it, just throw him right away. And don't be worried, because he's delivering himself to you, so you can just chuck him pretty easily. When you're really far out, that's when you want to start challenging with buttons, because you can challenge with any button. The further out, the faster the button will be a lot easier. As if you do it with slower buttons, he'll likely hit you in the face. But yeah, so when you're further out, try quick buttons, and when you're a little closer, just throw them. Beware, it's, you'll still get hit by it every now and then, because it's a very dumb move, right? But it definitely does have counterplay. So Sol has this move here, is super Heavy Mob Cemetary. And one of the immediate things that's tricky about it is it looks like a strike, but it's actually a command grab. It's a command grab that does a lot of damage. And on top of that, this command grab has infinite armor. There is no amount of hits you can put out to stop him from going through you. It could be 1 hit, it could be 1,000 hits. He will go to the other side of the screen. There's nothing you can do to stop it, right? Now, the thing to avoid it, and this is the easy part, right? Since it's a grab, well, just jump it, right? But he goes to the other side and, like, there's no punish. So the thing is, it's very low risk, high reward for him. So if he caught you hitting any kind of button, you're going to get dunked for at least half your life. And if you try to avoid it by the way that would come naturally to you by jumping over it, there's effectively no punish. So very much in Sol's favor. But we're going to use the rules of the move against it, because once again, it is a command grab and therefore cannot hit an airborne opponent. That's why we jumped, right? But if we can just stay low to the ground in the air, then he will not pass through us, and then we can get a punish. Now, this is not going to be the most damaging example, but just to give you an idea, right? So we're going to do Chip Shuriken here, and we're just going to do it as low to the ground as possible, and we're airborne, and so we smack him in the head. Now, let's move to another character with a slightly better example. So now we have Potemkin, and his jump dust move, he immediately just like butt slams the ground, right? And if you do it very low to the ground, same deal. Now, if we're up against the super move, he'll hit us while we're airborne, and he can't do anything about it because we're airborne, right? And then we just immediately drop in front of his face. From there, we can get all sorts of punish opportunities. So being very low to the ground is what you want. A lot of characters have a lot of ways to do this. Some characters, unfortunately, don't have as many ways to do this. But it is always an option, just something to keep in mind to defeat the move. The one thing I can offer, and this is the closest thing to universal, is depending on your range, you can instant air dash backwards and then immediately run down and just try to smack him with at least your longest range button if you're not one of these characters that can do a little bit more of these advanced tricks. So that's something, right? It's not a lot, but it's certainly a lot more than the nothing that I see a lot of people just letting them get away with this. So just keep all this in mind. Now, Gunflame. Gunflame's a really big one. If Gunflame has any amount of travel, like if it doesn't hit you point blank, it's plus. It is Sol's advantage. If you try to see it and like, try to challenge it anyway, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna have a bad time. It's really all there is to it, right? But the thing is, if you can see it, then at least there's one out, as you can actually jump out in time. So in this scenario here where he's like just doing string in the Gunflame, we're gonna try to jump out. And when you know it, it works. Now, it's not always the safest option because he doesn't have the Gunflame, right? If they happen to be very predictable with it, you can just instant air dash forward and it'll work. Also, if you want to jump forward and blue Roman cancel, once again, blue Roman cancel, probably the secret hero of Guilty Gear Strive. Not only do you get to jump over it, you can get a full major counter. So that is very important. And keep in mind, if he does it literally point blank, that is punishable by a lot of the casts. I believe it's -8 on block point blank. Don't quote me on that though, but it is negative enough for at least a lot of characters to get like their stand jabs and all that kind of stuff off. And that's surviving Sol. So he's a very, very strong character. And you know what? That's fine. Someone has to be the best, right? That's just how fighting games work. Someone's at the top while other people, maybe they're at the bottom, and then there'll be patches and all that kind of stuff, and things get shifted around. If you're watching this video maybe a year from now, Sol could be the worst character in the game, right? And just who knows. But right now, as of the time of this recording, when the game is brand spanking new, Sol, he's rough, and he's running roughshod on a lot of the other characters. So hopefully this guide can help you out on that kind of stuff. Other stuff like Banditbringer, you know, that is an airborne move, so forward P is good. Anything you have that counts as like an anti-air can help. Heck, you can even just, you know, meet them in the air, right? That's an option too. Although, if you're a little slow, and like many things, if you're just a little slow on the uptake, it can be bad. But hopefully this guide gives you a better understanding of what the character and what he can do, and how to fight against all this kind of stuff. And with that said, that is the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Guilty Gear.